Welcome back, MTG Joe here, and we're going to do some budget decks. So thanks for all of those who tuned in for the Ikoria early streamer event. That was a ton of fun, ended up streaming close to 9 hours of gameplay. The views on YouTube have also been great, so thanks a lot. So there's a lot of cool brews we played there. We're at the point where I have to pay for my own cards now. Wizards took back their God account, so... we're going to start off with the peasant builds, the budget builds. So for those of you who are new to the channel, with the budget series that we do, we usually try to keep it to under 10 combined rare or mythic wildcards. So these are arena budget decks. The paper cost may vary, where we have something like in this deck, a Brineborn Cutthroat, which is about $15-$20. It's one mythic rare wildcard here, so it's the same cost regardless. And usually what I try to do is take decks that can be ported over to some sort of other deck over time. So what we have here is a 4 rare, 4 mythic, mono blue tempo flash deck. So this is a deck that can be your shell, and then you can build Dimir Flash, you can build Simic Flash, you can eventually build into like Teamer Flash, but it's kind of a tempo-y style deck, and we got some cool additions with the new set to build out. So basically, with this deck, you never play a card on your turn. You pretty much always play on your opponent's turn. And we're trying to both disrupt our opponent and put a quick clock. So tempo is kind of a mix between aggro and control. Some matchups you'll be the control player, some matches you'll be the aggressor, and you're really just trying to disrupt or stall your opponent. So how we do that, we're kind of split into card draw, disruption, and threats. So from a threat standpoint, you have Spectral Sailor. It's a 1-drop of flash that late game can draw us cards. My dog's trying to get dinner, or second dinner. And it's important because it's a play on 1 with evasion that I'll highlight in a sec. You have Brineborn Cutthroat that gets bigger whenever you play flash spells, so this is kind of a way you can run away with some games by getting down a Brineborn on 2, untapping with protection spells, and then your opponent never being able to take it off the battlefield. One of the new cards that they released from the set is Cunning Nightbonder. So this is a 2-mana 2/2. Flash as well. It makes your other spells with flash become uncounterable, and they get a cost reduction of 1. So what this is a way to make your Brineborns cost 1, your Brazen Borrowers cost blue to cast as a creature. So there's some elements that you can play there. Brazen Borrower is where we're spending 4 mythic wildcards. This card you've seen probably a lot in various decks. It provides great utility as both a tempo play of bouncing your opponent's spells while being a creature with evasion. A 3/1 body can close out games pretty quickly. And that being packaged into 1. It's a nice little way to kind of get 2 spells out of 1 card. Some games you'll just play it as a 3/1 and then beat down. Sea-Dasher Octopus is another new card from the set. It is a 3-mana 2/2. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card, and then it has a mutate ability. So it can be mutated for 2 mana and be put onto another creature that's a non-human. So of note in the deck, we cannot mutate it onto Cunning Nightbonder. But ideally, the play is Spectral Sailor on 1, Sea-Dasher on top of it on 2, and now you basically have a Curious Obsession. Draw, and then it'll keep drawing you cards. So having a lot of evasive creatures is good for the deck. Sometimes you'll just play it out as a 3-mana 2/2. Or a 2-mana, depending. So then we have is kind of the protection elements. We have, in like Disruption, we have Quench for the early turns as kind of like a mana leak style card. You have a hard counter in Sinister Sabotage, and then you have a couple Mystical Disputes main where they have added upside against blue, but worst case it's a 3-mana pay 3. And then what we have as well is Unsummon. So Unsummon can be a 1-mana bounce your opponent's spell, but it can also be a way we can protect our own spells. Or what we can do is if we have... Cutthroat out, you can bounce your creature and then replay it to get 2 counters on it. So it's kind of a way around dealing some damage. And then just a couple ops for card advantage, and then Omen of the Sea. So I'm going 4 Omens, 2 ops, because with Nightbonder, it reduces the cost of Omen because it has flash, and it becomes a 1-mana scry 2, draw 2 with the upside of filtering later on. Mana base is 20 islands and a Mystic Sanctuary to put back some spells. Sideboard wise, from what I've seen so far, there's a lot of these Gyruda play out your whole deck mill decks where you use the body double I forget the name. The copy effect. That's gonna bother me. Where are you? Spark Double. And you basically keep making copies and you play out your whole deck. So we're going full 4 Disdainful Stroke. Aether Gust is a 4 of, 2 Cerulean Drakes versus the red matchups, 2 Essence Scatter versus heavy creature based decks, 2 Mystical Disputes for a full set, and then a Chemister's Insight to bring in against the grindier matchups where we need some more card advantage. Of note in mono blue, we don't have a clean answer to Ceratops, so that's something we need to consider. With the black versions, like Dimir, you do have answers in terms of hard removal. So that's pretty much the deck. We will take it for a spin, see how it goes, and take it from there. Where are we at on the ladder? So I'm still in pretty good standings. The budget deck, I'm just going to play regular, traditional standard play. Let's play some budget blue. So as this gets started off, as always, if you do enjoy the content on the channel, if you're discovering for the first time or a long time viewer, if you can, drop a comment or a like. It helps out the channel. If you're not subscribed, it's a great way to keep in touch, know when we go live with any new videos. And if you want to know when we're live on Twitch, following on Twitch, these are all free, easy ways to help out the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated if you could. If you have any suggestions for other budget builds, do let me know. This hand's gas if we draw another land, but we pretty much fall behind if we don't draw another land. I think we mulligan. Okay, this hand's better. Gonna get rid of the Sabotage. So the key for this deck is to play first. There'll probably be a fairly high disparity in the mono blue version from play draw. You would have been better last turn, but beggars can't be choosers. So this might be Growth Spiral. Okay, so it's a Flash Mirror. I think we just pass here. So we can always counter their Nightbonder. So something I want to see is how Sultai fares in comparison. So I'm going to throw this out now. If they do have a counter, they might be inclined. They might also have removal for Brineborn. Ashiok's Erisher. Sure. I think here we just pass the turn. And for sure we're going Spectral Sailor. I think we hold up the Quench. So they could have Nightpack Ambusher. So I'm going to mutate this onto the Spectral Sailor. So how mutate works is they can respawn and kill the creature, but then this goes right into the battlefield. If it mutates on top and then they kill it. Okay, second. Erisher. Tad annoying. So they've locked out 2 4s of our deck. They are at now 9 life. I'm going to force them. If they want to play something with the cost reduction, they have to do it now. It does leave us open to a removal spell. And this is one of the downsides of these 3-color mana bases. To have consistency, you're taking a lot of damage. They've shocked at least twice here. Okay, so they do have Brazen. So we're going to dispute here. The Quench is a little bit more versatile. We do have a couple dead cards, so Erasure prevents you from casting cards with the same name. So we're going to counter the Night Pack. Interesting that they did this on their turn. So we'll just do this. They can have a counter here, which they do. So I'm just going to throw out another Spectral Sailor. They do have a blocker in the air. Okay, we have another Brazen Borrower. They're at 5, so we're doing decent in terms of the actual damage race. They've yet to attack us. So I think we're going to Omen here. I don't really want to bounce any of those spells. Chances are they're just going to flash this in. So Sea-Dasher can go away. Probably just want something like a Dispute. So again, we're locked out of that. Slitherwisp. So this is a new card. Whenever you cast another spell, Flash, you draw a card and each opponent loses a life. Okay, they go Brineborn. So here... So they're attacking us for 8. I can flash in the Brazen Borrower and I think we do it on their turn. Because if they want to counter, then they lose the token on Brineborn. Not really a huge amount to bounce here. So before blockers, I'm going to do this in case I can find like an Unsummon. Nope. So I think we're dead here. They block there and then they hit us. So. The Erasures kind of screwed up our plan there. So this is a matchup where the disputes are good. Do we want Disdainful Stroke? Probably not. Aether Gusts. I don't think we want the Gusts either. The Essence Captures are probably good. And I do like the Chemister's Insight. Just kind of differentiate our threats a bit. I'm probably going to cut the Unsummons. We saw in that game, we don't really want to bounce Brazen Borrower or some of their creatures. I'd rather just try to counter them. Mind you, with Cunning Nightbonder, it makes it worse. So maybe we put in a couple instead of the Ops. Oops. This is going to be a weird kind of tango. I'm going to cut a Sea-Dasher. And what else do we cut? I want to be aggressive. Okay, we can cut the Chemisters. Maybe it's just a Sabotage. Nah. Get rid of the Quench. Keep the Quench, get rid of an Unsummon. I don't know. First time playing the deck. It's worth seeing what we can do there. We were also stuck on 3 mana for a while with a lot of 2 mana spells, so it kind of impacted our ability to play double. I'm going to keep this. Generally, you do want to threat on 1. And then you play like Protect the Queen style strategies. Because part of the issue here is they can easily have Mystical Dispute up. So it's kind of like a game of chicken. So I'm just going to play this out as a creature here. They most likely have something, but them just having 1 blue leaves them on Mystical Dispute. I'd rather save these. They're a little bit better later game. Actually, I probably should have quenched there because they would have been down a mana. See if they try to flash something else in. So in this game here, if we had a threat early, we could have been pressuring them while disrupting them, and that's basically what you want to be doing. Drawing a lot of lands for a deck that doesn't normally have a lot of lands. So I think this turn I am going to flash in the Brazen Borrower. They shocked. Okay, resolves, which bodes well. So here, the thing is, I'm priced into countering this because it makes the subsequent creatures uncounterable. And here they could still Nightpack Ambusher, which sucks. And these Quench are pretty dead here. Yeah, we're dead. The Threnody Singer might be something to try out. Just another evasive threat. Let's give it another go. So another card that we can try out is Pteramander. Though it doesn't have flash, you can play it on 1. It's another threat. And then it gets bigger over time. May want that. Actually, let's do that instead of the ops. I think we need a certain density of creatures. On one at least. So I know a lot of people were asking about Sultai Flash. We got a demo, what it can do. We weren't putting super amounts of pressure on them, but they did take quite a bit of damage, so I'd like to see that deck against a little bit more of the aggressive threats. It does diverse your threats a bit, so like Aether Gust isn't as big compared to the Simic versions where you have stuff like Nisa and Wolf. Like that game, if we had Aether Gust in hand, it wouldn't have done anything. I'm going to try this. We're on the draw. If we were on the play, we wouldn't keep this hand. But they mulled to 6. If we can draw another land, then we're in pretty good standing. Okay. And this is kind of how we highlight the downside of just the mono blue version is turn 1, they play a creature that we couldn't counter. This might be a Winota Boros deck. Okay, they don't attack. I actually don't think we attack here. I'm probably willing to trade here. This goes too wide for what I'd like. Okay. So that's good because next turn I can play out 2 of these. As these Quench start getting a shelf life on their usefulness. If it was just like another dorky creature, I probably would have just played. Yeah, I think we Quench here too. This also makes these closer to adapting. At this point, we're kind of ahead in the race, so we're just... The plan now is just Brineborn for days. We can get these pretty large. The one thing with this deck is if your opponent stumbles at all, you get pretty far ahead. Yeah. Run them down. Kind of, so Essence Capture for sure. I don't know if we want the Gusts. They might be an Embercleave deck. But I really just think we cut these Disputes and run it back. They might have something like Fry. No, let's try it like this. We'll see. We really only saw 2 spells out of them, or 3. Yeah, I'll keep this. Probably one more land than we want, but I can use this on Summon and then put it back. Being able to go Sailor on 1. Actually, I'm gonna lead with Pteramander. I'll probably take the trade here. takes him off a creature, and my plan next turn is to go Brineborn. And then follow it up with Spectral Sailor and Unsummon. Do want to get this off the battlefield just because it is going to give him card advantage. This does look like Mardu Knights, and seeing this, I'm probably going to bring the Aether Gusts in for if there's a game 3. Okay, they shock in here. So here, actually that's pretty good too. So they have Fervent. That does turn off Embercleave, which I'm happy with, so I want to see what they put the trigger on. So we're going to block here. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. Because if they have Blacklands Paragon, so this might prompt the Blacklands, and then I can unsummon this in response. Okay. So first strike damage comes through. And now I can bounce this. And we got him. It's not bad. Against an aggressive deck, we were able to take it. Usually mono red's like the worst matchup for these. Let's crack some packs. I got like 120 packs yesterday with all the gold and stuff I had saved up. The best type. I'm just going to give it a quick reset, and then we'll fire it up for one more. And then probably do 2 budget brews today. Get those up. And then try to do some more on the weekend. I know there's been quite a few decks people have been looking for. I'm going to try to get to as many as I can in the period. Like I said, we did 9 hours of streaming. Almost. Started at 1, finished 9:45. Budget blue, let's go. Let me know too if there's any cool decks you've been playing, anything like that. Still in the early stage. I think right now I'm going to be at least like offline. I've really been trying to work on Sangha creation, a couple different variants. Just haven't really been able to get it to work properly. I'm going to be working on Narset Control for Jeskai and probably the Dimir Flash version. Those are probably the 2 I'm most looking forward to. So we're already not doing well because we're not on the play. Don't know if we want an extra land. Opponent goes first. Okay, so Karuga means that it's likely what's it called? Fires. So I'm gonna put this back. So this is probably Croaky's Fires list. So it's 3 color with like Narset. I think we just do this. And then hold up counters for the rest of the game. So if they try to Teferi on 2, we have the Quench for it. Actually, we probably dispute it to hold up the Quench in case we don't hit another land. They're missing red, which bodes well for fires. Not hitting a land there hurts. So this is a matchup we're going to want. The other 2 disputes in. Yeah. Little dorky flyers. So this is an Aether Gust matchup. This is a Disdainful Stroke matchup. This is disputes. Coming out, stuff that gets swept by Clarion. No, we'll keep the Brazen Borrowers because they bounce to Fairy. I'm gonna get rid of the Unsummons. Probably shave a Sea-Dasher. Maybe cut down a Stroke. Cut down a Gust. Quench is really good because you could get him on curve and it's a play for on 2 for Teferi. This is tricky. 3 cuts. Let's get rid of Pteramander on the play. And an Omen. Just go like that. It's easier for them to go Clarion. The nice thing about this deck is it's pretty much built to be played at sorcery speed, which bodes really well for us. So I'm going to lead on the Sanctuary. We don't really need to play on 1. This could be Bone Crusher Giant most likely. So they need to decide if they want to stomp us or not. Ooh, Shark Typhoon. So they're just cycling for 0. So they don't get a token, but they get to cycle a card. This version might be a little different. This has the highest payoff. Okay, so they have the Stomp. The safer play would have been Omen. Again, if they're just going to stomp here, that's fine. I really want to just shape my mana. Scorching Dragonfire. And Dispute. So is this just not fires? They become more of a control deck? So the concern with doing this is if they drop it to Fairy. So I think we just try to race them while holding up Disruption along the way. If I get something like Aether Gust or that, I didn't really want to bounce it because then the stomp just hits Brazen Borrower. And we probably have a higher density of threats than they do. Both of those are good. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to dispute the Brazen Borrower. So I can dispute their dispute, or I can dispute the Brazen Borrower. Let's dispute their dispute. They have another dispute? Is this what the meta has become? So now what I can do is I can always Brazen Borrow this on end step and then Sabotage. Can pop that. I think we just do this. So of note, the cycling on Sharknado is not something you can interact with. I think we do this. They might have done that to play around Mystical Dispute. Neutralize. Okay, this is not the deck I thought we were playing. So I do think we want a higher density of 1-drops. So we do go shields down here. These strokes aren't what we want in the game now. That's good because it can draw us a card. So I'm going to cut these strokes, go back up the 1-drops. We need 2 more pumps for this Brineborn to be good. This Bone Crusher is holding up a bit of a wall. Okay, they go Typhoon here. It's actually a fantastic draw, because Cunning Nightbonder will make this cost 1. This might be something that in a non-budget version we could run, more so just for the cycling. This is definitely a Disdainful Stroke. Do they have a counter backup? so they have the neutralize. They get the cycle here. Actually, they don't even go with the cycle. This might just be Narset plus. Nope, they do.
Let thoughts flow like river rapids.
Okay, we'll pass the turn here. Okay, so here we need to kind of go off in a way. I'm doing this so this gets protected. We need to dig for a counter spell for this Teferi. Disdainful Stroke. Then we get rid of the 8/7, which isn't great. I think we lost this one. Once Teferi's down, they reset my 8/7 there. So we boarded wrong for that. It was a deck that we thought it was, that it wasn't. So these Disdainful Strokes felt terrible. In lieu of that, let's bring in the Pteramanders. Bring in this. The Sea-Dasher seems a little bit of a liability. They brought in a lot of removal. I don't think we want Unsummon either. Let's bring in this other Omen. Like, they had Narset, but Narset's not something... Actually, they had the tokens. Unsummon's probably fine, because it can get rid of the Sharknado tokens. Let's run it like that. Sea-Dasher is a little iffy, because now they have Scorching Dragonfire and Stomp. Keep this. So I do think what we do here is go Nightbonder first, because if I draw a third land, it lets me Brineborn and Quench, or if we just have two, then it's Brineborn and Mystical Dispute. So let them scry first. So they could have Dispute here. But yeah. Here if they go Teferi, we go Brineborn. Okay, they do Stomp here. So this can be Stomp, this can be a counter spell. So I'm going to do this because this turn I can hold up Brineborn as well as Quench. Gives me a bit more flexibility. Mind you, they do have the mana now. Yeah, it might have been worth to wait one more turn. Yeah. They would have had it anyways. This is good because Sabotage is also live. Okay. We're in kind of a hold our position. This is just more for tempo. Lets us hold up a hard counter as well. Jeez. Only played 21 lines. Sailor's not bad. It's gonna get stomped. But I could try to hard counter it and then fight over it. Countering this kind of gets rid of 2 threats. So I think that's fine. We're kind of at a glut. These quenches are starting to get a lot less effective. Actually not bad. So this attack's probably okay because they don't have Sharknado open. So there's 3 cards, so we can adapt this as a 5/5. That takes off the adventure half as well. I'm doing this to put another spell into the graveyard. They can bounce it with Tef, but it also limits what they can do this turn in terms of their mana. They can't sneak another spell through. And they might just plus here. Okay. Getting to ferry off the battlefield's a pretty big win. So there's 5 in the graveyard. So this costs 3 mana. So we do have a dispute up as well. See what we can get going here. Shatter the Sky. This draws us a card. I guess I should have done Thing instead. Spectral Sailor in case we drew a 3 mana counter. Get that out of the way. Would have preferred a Sailor here. Like, we're grinding through. Opponent should have a lot of answers versus us. Okay, so they don't kill Pteramander. Pteramander, not Pteramander. Again, I think we just take Narset off the table. Let's just get them off card advantage. Pass turn. I'm going to drop this Sea-Dasher just as a creature to differentiate our threats. It also plays better against Teferi, so they can't bounce both. Sure. If all they have is reactive spells, yes, thank you. Holding our own. This deck's probably like 50 rare mythics. Well, if there was ever a time to protect, now's the time. Okay, so they have the neutralize. We do get to draw another card off this. See if we can draw into a threat here. I think we go like this. And just drop this as a 3/1. If they try to target removal it, I can unsummon it. I'm surprised they didn't. If they do have targeted removal. What wins? A giant Sharknado token? Or one itty bitty unsummon? And the turn I could go Spectral Sailor and draw a card off it. That's fine. So our opponents board wiped us 3 times. We fought through a Teferi and an Narset. Sick. Too good! Alright, so I can wrap this one up. We went for about an hour with the budget deck. I'll come back with a couple more this weekend and we can go from there. What's the mastery tree give us this time? Hey Daniela, thanks for stopping by. Sudden Demise, Gem Razor, the Ultimatum, Brokos. When can I get my Sea-Dasher? Ooh, we're definitely doing this one. Kind of want the Jeskai one. I don't really care about this one. Okay, so we got a few. Yeah, so thanks for stopping by. I'm going to wrap this one up. Going to go eat some dinner. If you do have any deck list stuff you want to see, do drop me a line on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you swing by, and we'll chat some more. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and hopefully catch you. I'll announce like on Instagram and stuff when I go live on the weekend. Try to do a few streams. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great night or day.